Welcome to Gist Dish TV, your ultimate gist corner. Before we dive straight into this hot Nollywood development, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, and stay glued to the family. You know we bring you the premium stories before anyone else, and trust me, this one, it get as it be. It all started one calm afternoon when Ruth Kadiri, one of Nollywood's most respected actresses and producers, decided to host a private dinner. But this wasn't any ordinary dinner. This was a gathering with intention, love, and just a touch of Nollywood spice. And the guests? None other than Sonia and her sisters, a group that's been making waves both on and off the screen. Ruth had been observing the young ladies from afar, admiring their grace, talent, and the way they carried themselves despite the pressures of the entertainment industry. But Ruth didn't want this to be a typical celebrity meet and greet. She wanted intimacy, laughter, and real connection. That's why the dinner invite was personal, handwritten notes, delivered by hand through her assistant, to ensure that Sonia and her sisters knew they were genuinely valued. When the invitations arrived, Sonia's group was pleasantly surprised. They had expected casual messages or digital invites, but the personal touch from Ruth made them feel immediately special. There was excitement in the air, not just for the food or the company, but for what this dinner represented, recognition and mentorship from one of Nollywood's respected figures. On the day of the dinner, Sonia and her sisters arrived at Ruth's residence, greeted with warm smiles, soft lighting, and an ambience that immediately put everyone at ease. Ruth, ever the gracious host, welcomed them personally, sharing hugs, laughter, and stories that immediately broke any awkward tension. The sisters were impressed by Ruth's humility. Despite her fame and accolades, she radiated a down-to-earth energy that made everyone feel at home. The table was set immaculately, with dishes that ranged from traditional Nigerian delicacies to modern culinary delights. But the focus wasn't just the food, it was the conversation, the connection, and the way Ruth made each person feel seen. She asked about Sonia's recent projects, her sisters' endeavors, and genuinely listened to their responses. For the sisters, it wasn't just a dinner, it was an opportunity to share their dreams, challenges, and aspirations with someone who truly cared. As the evening progressed, Ruth shared her own experiences in Nollywood, the highs, the lows, and the lessons that had shaped her career. She talked about navigating fame, managing relationships in the limelight, and staying grounded amidst the chaos. Sonia and her sisters listened intently, absorbing every word. It felt like a masterclass, but one delivered with warmth and humor rather than strict instruction. Then came the games and laughter. Ruth had prepared a few light-hearted activities to break the ice further. They played storytelling games, shared funny industry anecdotes, and even laughed about minor on-set blunders. The room was filled with genuine joy, the kind that comes from being in a space where one can be fully authentic. At one point, Ruth turned serious, speaking directly to Sonia and her sisters. She emphasized the importance of sisterhood, collaboration, and lifting each other up in an industry that can often be competitive and isolating. She encouraged them to support one another, to nurture their talents, and to never allow anyone to diminish their worth. This moment was deeply touching, and it was clear that her words resonated. Sonia, visibly moved, thanked Ruth for the invitation and the heartfelt mentorship. She admitted that this dinner had given her a renewed sense of purpose and motivation. Her sisters echoed similar sentiments, expressing gratitude for the opportunity to connect with someone who had walked the path they were aspiring to navigate. As dessert was served, a beautifully arranged selection of cakes and pastries, the conversation turned to future collaborations. Ruth hinted at potential projects where Sonia and her sisters could be involved, sparking excitement and anticipation. The sisters exchanged glances, imagining the possibilities and the doors that this dinner could open for them. Before the evening ended, Ruth presented a small gesture of appreciation for each sister, a personalized note and a keepsake that symbolized encouragement, resilience, and ambition. The sisters were touched, recognizing that this gesture went beyond material value. It was a symbol of believing in them and their potential. The dinner ended with hugs, laughter, and promises to stay in touch. Sonia and her sisters left Ruth's residence feeling inspired, valued, and ready to tackle the challenges ahead with renewed energy. For Ruth, The evening had been equally fulfilling. She had not only connected with the next generation of talent but had also reminded herself of the power of mentorship and genuine human connection in an industry often dominated by competition. Back online, fans of Sonia and her sisters began reacting to the news of the dinner. Social media erupted with praise for Ruth Kadiri, commending her for setting an example of humility, mentorship, and genuine care. Many said they wished more Nollywood stars would create such spaces to uplift emerging talent. Threads on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook celebrated the warmth of the gathering, and clips of the evening, shared with permission, showed laughter, candid conversations, and moments of pure joy. This dinner wasn't just a social event, it was a statement. It was proof that Nollywood can be a space of collaboration, mentorship, and support. It highlighted the importance of fostering relationships that are rooted in respect, authenticity, and mutual encouragement. For Sonia and her sisters, it was a night they would remember forever, a night that strengthened bonds, opened doors, and reminded them that they were not navigating their careers alone. As the news continued to spread, it became clear that Ruth Kadiri's initiative had sparked a trend. Fans began calling for more intimate, mentorship-driven gatherings in Nollywood, emphasizing that such connections could reshape the industry and provide guidance to young stars. Sonia and her sisters became symbols of how meaningful interactions with established actors can inspire, guide, and transform aspiring talents. And so, this one dinner, initiated by Ruth Kadiri, became more than just a meal. It became a celebration of mentorship, sisterhood, and the kind of generosity that elevates an entire community. It reminded Nollywood and its fans that beyond the glitz, fame, and drama, there is room for kindness, encouragement, and real human connection. Before we end, don't forget to subscribe to GistDish TV, like this story, and share it with someone who believes in the power of mentorship and authentic connections in Nollywood. This story is a reminder that sometimes, a simple dinner can change everything, not just for the guest, but for the industry as a whole. The evening with Ruth Kadiri, Sonia, and her sisters was proof that love, guidance, and genuine care are priceless, and that Nollywood still has space for stories that uplift rather than divide.